In a shocking first dismissal of the Premier League season, Scott Parker has been sacked by Bournemouth. Get your thoughts in via the comments on Parker's firing. I'll give mine as we go, but let's set the context first. Parker arrived at Bournemouth at the start of last season after taking Fulham up through the playoffs and then straight back down again in their first Premier League season. It was a little acrimonious to finish with at Craven Cottage, with Parker calling out the ownership's transfer strategy and then suggesting they'd not spoken since the club's relegation. Bournemouth up at the first time of asking, this time in an automatic promotion position, but fans still remained very split on Parker's abilities as a manager. The two promotions obviously represent great success, but many argued both were completed with strong squads at parachute teams, and Bournemouth spent big in their January window, and at times both Parker's teams did not look massively convincing on the pitch in the way that other promoted teams can do. Bournemouth were promoted along with Parker's former club Fulham and Nottingham Forest last season. By way of comparison, Fulham have impressed in their opening games, while Forest have embarked on a highly ambitious recruitment drive. Bournemouth, on the other hand, have not been active in the transfer market, and Parker expressed his unhappiness before a ball was even kicked this season, saying, "We're short at the moment, that's very, very clear. We are 6 days out from the start of the season and we're way short of where we need to be." The Cherries, though, actually started brilliantly, beating Villa on opening day. Since then, though, they've lost 4-0 at Manchester City, 3-0 to Arsenal, and at the weekend 9-0 to Liverpool. Yes, that's 0 points and 16 goals without reply, but after 4 games and away trips to the two best teams of this generation, this surely is not about early season results. Bournemouth sacked Parker earlier this morning and issued a short statement that has a couple of extremely key phrases from owner Maxim Denim, who said, "In order for us to keep progressing as a team and a club as a whole, it is unconditional that we are aligned in our strategy to run the club sustainably. We must also show belief in and respect for one another. That is the approach that has brought this club so much success in recent history, and one we will not veer from now." Pointed, you may say. Gary O'Neill is in temporary charge and Bournemouth host Wolves tomorrow. I will try and put some good vibes into the universe for O'Neill and wish him luck on what will likely be a tricky but probably short-term job. By the way, you can put some good vibes into the universe for me too, simply by hitting the thumbs up button and liking this video. My reaction this morning when I sat down at my computer and saw this announcement was initially complete shock, purely based on the fact that Parker delivered promotion just a few months ago. We're 4 games into the season and Bournemouth had some really gnarly opening fixtures. When you do just a slight little bit of digging beneath the surface, it seems to make a little bit more sense. And what seems to be the case here, on the basis from very public quotes from both manager Parker, former manager Parker, and owner Maxim Denim, is that we've had a falling out between owner and boss here. After that Liverpool hammering, Parker very much threw the club's recruitment and probably the higher-ups and ownership under the bus in his post-match interviews. I don't know what he was trying to get at with that or what he was trying to achieve, but look what's transpired. He said, "At this moment, we are just a little bit unequipped from where we've come from what we have. It's proved a bit difficult." Obviously, I'll preface this with, I'm not there, I don't know. But for Parker to be that publicly critical of the recruitment and for Denim to mention respect in his statement appears to point to behind-the-scenes issues that must have been serious enough for the trigger to have been pulled today. So, where does this leave Parker and Bournemouth? Well, the Cherries had a hard task already. Changing a manager and the short-term chaos that will cause will surely not help in the immediate future. Although, I'm sure we're going to get some comments saying that they'll be able to upgrade the managerial position now. If that's you, and that's fine, then let me know who you think would increase Bournemouth's survival chances were they to come in as manager. In terms of Parker, this is now twice he's fallen on his sword criticising the owners of the clubs he's worked at. Again, you or I are not privy to these conversations or the inner workings to know for definite, but I think we can conclude he's either been very unlucky and sold down the river by two different sets of owners, or Scott Parker is playing the blame game here and protecting his brand at the expense of the clubs he's worked for. In terms of his managerial chops, yes, 2 promotions, fantastic, but I do hear the argument that he was in an advantageous position with personnel and finances at both Fulham and Bournemouth. I guess we'll find out how good he is in his next job, which, let's be frank, will probably be in the Championship. But hell, it may well be with a parachute team again, and those arguments are just going to run and run and run and be unfalsifiable. Get down there and let me know your thoughts in the comments on this sacking. What next for Bournemouth and what next for Parker? Look, I know from past conversations and videos about this guy that he's a bit of a divisive figure. So please, for the sake of my channel and the standard of the comments, let's try and keep things respectful and not veer into that somewhat insulting and murky territory that these conversations do sometimes end up in. If you want to stay with the channel, you can click here to see my reflections on Bournemouth's promotion. Seems a long time ago, but it was only at the start of May. Or you can click here to hear my thoughts on Parker's hiring at Bournemouth just 1 year ago. Things move fast, don't they?